You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
All right, and it's been a while, but welcome back to They Live My Film, a podcast about interviews and movies from around the world. See, I messed it up. I told you I would. I am here with Chris, and we are on episode 3 of Tobe Hooper. How have you been doing,
Yeah.
man?
Oh my gosh, man. I'm always on a high when I come into these episodes because I cram a lot of movies right towards the end, so they're fresh in my mind. And man, I love Hooper so much. I'm feeling great. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. So before we get into the Hooper stuff, have you been watching anything lately you'd like to shout out?
Oh yeah, man. No, for sure. It's been a busy, I mean, They Live by Film has been quiet because of stuff that you've got going on in your life, and I've got a bunch of stuff going on as well at work, and then with Punk Vacation has been super busy, and so man, I've seen a bunch of Vinegar Syndrome. Um, you know what I saw the other last night that I want to call out. Where do you stand on trauma in general?
I mean, I haven't dabbled super deep. I mean, what
Okay.
I've seen, I've liked. I like Toxic Avenger. I like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I feel like that's like most of it. It gets weird because I almost feel like it's kind of like Full Moon, where there's these things that are technically trauma. It's kind of like Hammer too, where you're like, oh, that's actually technically trauma because Kaufman did it. I don't know if that's the same case, but
Yeah, yeah,
you get
yeah.
into that
No,
with Full Moon and Hammer as well, where you're like, oh, they did that? That's interesting.
no, totally. So there's Trauma Productions, which is like stuff that Lloyd Kaufman wrote and directed, and and the immediate Trauma family wrote and directed. That's all the stuff that you mentioned, right?
Hmm.
And then there's titles that they didn't make, um, but they distributed, like what's a good one? Oh shoot, the one with Samuel Jackson, the vampire movie, which is one of their best ones. Um, Hold on, it's just gonna
Yeah.
drive it's gonna drive me crazy if I don't get this because it's one of my favorite ones from them. It's just in my mind. Death by Temptation,
Okay.
which it was a movie that was already made, and then they paid the filmmakers to basically own the rights. So that's number two style. And then there's number three, which is just like bringing in international movies or other movies into the US market for distribution. So they cover like all of that. So if you look at like Trauma Films, their catalog is massive, but they didn't make them all. Um, Not to go too far on a tangent on trauma, sorry. But the most trauma of all trauma movies, the one to me that just like epitomizes the distastefulness, the immature sense of humor, the over the top gore, all the fun punk rock kind of spirit that like I grew up loving is Terror Firmer. Have you seen that one?
I have not.
Okay. Imagine a movie where every 5 seconds somebody is either throwing up, pooping their pants, eating shit, getting some body part ripped off, getting their intestines taken out. Like it's relentless, and it's a combination of um, it's like a meta movie in the sense it's a movie about movie making. So the movie that they're making has a lot of blood and gore, and then separately, the real life characters have a lot of blood and gore happening to them, and everybody just gets throws up all the time because they get sick at all the stuff they see. And so it's like just total chaos for 90 minutes. And I love it. It's like it's their masterpiece, I think. Like it's like it just makes like a sentimental movie for me, if that makes sense.
I do love going on people I follow looking at this movie, and it's full of half stars and 5 stars. So that's usually a good sign.
Exactly. The other thing I've been doing, I don't even know if you know about this, man, because this has happened really like in the last 3 weeks. But there's a bunch of folks from the Vinegar Syndrome Discord that discovered that we all have a passion for Shaw Brothers stuff.
Yes, you sent me the first one. Yes, yes, it was
Okay.
really good.
Okay, cool. Thanks. But like now we're on our third one and we just finished writing our fourth one. So this little project that we're doing is actually like taking off. I mean, taking off in the sense that it's got legs, I think. And it's just about it ends up being about 6 to 8 of us that are contribute depending on the week. There's no requirement to like do it every week. Um, but yeah, it's been super fun. Like I'm seeing, when you watch these movies back to back, you start to see characters and directors and writers and all that kind of stuff, so you start to see like patterns in the studio, which is super fun.
And you
Um,
and just kind of explain it because I know it, but just for people who want to like do it, and I'll see if I can find a way to throw it into description. But
oh yeah.
yeah, kind of explain like what the format is a little bit.
I'm just, the closest thing I can think of is, there's that network of sports blogs called, is it Sports Nation or Blog Nation or
Or I'm trying to think. Bleacher Report used to do, I think,
Bleacher
kind of,
Report,
yeah,
maybe?
used to kind of do what you're talking about, and
But
maybe
there's,
Sports Nation did too.
yeah, there's a style of writing that I've only seen in sports before, although I'm sure someone will point out other areas where it's been done. But where you basically get a bunch of people in a room and you have like a conversation, but you just transcribe the conversation and make it to where if people are just talking about the thing. So in this case, just talking about the movie, right?
Right.
And for me, it's a more interesting way of reading because if there's one personality that like I don't gel with, I'm not forced to read that whole thing from them. I just kind of it's just interesting to see the way people react, and some people like it, don't like it, some people are bored by it, some people think it's amazing. Like, so for me, it's a more interesting way of consuming opinion based journalism, where it's not like we're not trying to write an academic paper here, right? Um, and so, yeah, I just thought I would give it a shot. And I think, the cool thing is a lot of these folks have never written before, like published anything in writing. They just love movies. And so I think for some folks, it's a cool way to sort of feel like they have a voice in some small way, which is always feels good. And there's some good opinions, regardless of the writing technical skills. Like there's some good opinions in there, and there's some good writers. So yeah, it's just been a fun thing that I thought is easy to do. And it all started with, I mean, you'll resonate with this. It all started with this idea of like an unwatched pile. Like what's the show called? The Unwatched Pile, right? With Steven and
Yeah.
Andrew.
Yeah.
It just started with a similar kind of idea of like, dude, we have all these Shaw Brothers movies that have been coming out the last 3 years. Like, let's actually watch them.
And so y'all were taking, I know all the ones from Arrow, and they've done, is it 3 volumes from Arrow?
For now.
4 volumes from Arrow, and then you have, I don't know if you guys are going to get into the Shout Factory
Well,
set.
I'm debating that because there's 88 Films has a ton of Shaw stuff. Eureka has some good stuff. There's obviously and Shout is the one that has the most. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if everybody has the Shout box sets. The nice thing about the Arrow ones is if you don't have the physical sets, it's all on the Arrow player.
Yeah, because I think 2 of the Shaw Brother ones are out of print now, right? For Arrow, I
Yeah,
think I
yeah,
think 1 or 2 of them are
for
already
sure.
out.
Volume one is like crazy expensive. Yeah,
Yeah, that's how
um,
it always happens. It's like the Sony Columbia sets I have. Like
exactly.
they can't sell them now, but that first set goes for crazy money
I
now.
know. I know. Um, yeah, no, it's unfortunate. That's the downside of this hobby, I guess, if you're not in at the right time to get it at MSRP. But the only other thing I want to call out, because I mean I could talk for another hour. Like I've been watching a lot. I've, I mean, not compared to you, which I'm sure we'll get into this in a minute. Because one of my first questions is how's 2026 going for you? But I saw, excuse me, I saw more than 30 movies in January, which for me is like a lot. Like that's going back to like COVID pace. So
Yeah,
I've been watching.
yeah, that's one a day. So I mean, that's good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But there's two that I have to call out. So there's two movies that are very similar in theme, and I just want to call out as like a cool double feature if you get a chance. So Vinegar Syndrome has a partner label called Club Super 8, which is a Swedish exploitation um, focused line. You might actually kind of dig it. They've already had two movies with Christina Lundberg. Um, and the one that they just put out is called The Doll. And it's the story of a guy who falls in love with a mannequin and brings her home and like tends to her, cares for her.
Okay.
But the interesting thing in the way they tell the story is that when they're alone, the doll comes to life and like engages with him in increasingly more sophisticated and like better communication. And so for this guy, he feels like he's falling in love with a real person. Like it stops feeling like a mannequin. And it does some interesting social commentary on loneliness and some of these kind of things, but it's definitely like it's in that category of weird movies. You know, it's not played like super straight.
And anybody who wanted it, who sounded interested, just so you know, it is completely sold out on Vinegar Syndrome.
Oh, that's right. You know what? The standard should come back, I hope. But yeah, the
Hopefully, yeah, because
slipcover
it's out
sold
right
out.
now too.
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
They only
But
made 1,000. That's why. God, kills me.
it's so hard to predict, you know, like who would think that this obscure Swedish film from the 60s would sell out in like a week, you know, but
That
it
one's
just
more fair than their decision on
oh, don't talk
the
about the Great
the
Silence.
Great Silence. That was one of the most wild
Dude,
decisions I have ever seen from them. Like
like
Rad, what was it, 8, 10 years ago, got 10,000 copies or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
you're not doing that for the Great Silence, really? Like, okay.
That's crazy. Because you know what though, like that's honestly just crazy because that's probably what like in terms of people that are in this hobby and know movies, that's probably one of the most sought after spaghetti westerns, right? I mean, uh,
You're more casual people in spaghetti westerns would still know what Great Silence is.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's not like it's the only spaghetti western somebody's ever heard of is like the Dollars trilogy. Like,
Right,
they know this. They know
right.
this one.
Yeah, exactly. But I did hear rumors that they're going to issue an alternative slip, which is good. I mean, I guess you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because if you just put out more slips, then all the original buyers are going to be like, dude, what the hell?
Yeah, and I don't know what the solution is. This is probably like too big of a problem to solve on a little
Uh,
podcast. But like, I almost think you just need to take pre-orders and then like take your pre-orders and then just add a percentage, like depending on what type of thing it is, rather than, well, it's gone. Good luck with the scalpers on eBay.
yeah, yeah, it's tricky, right? Their whole business model is FOMO, right? So
Yeah.
it's I don't think you're wrong. I don't see them doing it, but it would be nice. I mean, you know, I've been saying this a lot. I've kind of come full circle, and I just kind of love Criterion now because they don't care, you know? They're just like, here's a movie, like get it if you want. I don't know.
Yeah, the thing Criterion has always done well is, I mean, they'll keep producing it until they don't have the rights to it anymore.
Yeah.
And I would say that most labels have surpassed them. There is a label that surpassed some aspect of them in some way, but they have been a pretty solid rock for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just chilling, you know. I mean, and even, you know, Radiance is good. I think they've landed on a number where 3,000 for them. Some will sell out, but not everything sells out.
Yeah, and
So,
I mean, I've always said I do get it for Vinegar Syndrome to a point because I've seen Severed Arm. The slip might
exactly.
finally be gone, but I swear, a severed arm with a slip has been on there for like 10 years.
Yeah, it has been on every sale, right? Like they just
They,
can't give it
like they
away.
can't give it away. Like they're
Yeah,
and it's been there forever. So I don't
exactly.
know. It's one of those things that's kind of frustrating, but I get like it's not a simple fix, but it's real annoying to see these like because we'll get into Texas Chainsaw Massacre too. That happened on Vinegar Syndrome where it sold out really quick.
You almost feel like for certain titles, TCM2 is a great example.
Yeah, and
Um,
that
may, maybe the Keep, I don't know, but you feel like for some titles you could push 20,000. Like these
yeah.
movies, like everybody wants these movies, right?
Yeah, and I can't remember what the numbers were on TCM2. I pre-ordered day it came out because it was pretty much, I think it was rumored that it was coming. Which that was a
Mhm.
fun time anyway because everyone who was really big into Vinegar Syndrome bitch that they had like a major movie
Yeah,
on there, which still
yeah.
happens. The Amityville Horror went through the
Sure,
same thing last year.
sure.
But you got to keep the lights on too.
Right, right,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
it's the same thing like when Parasite came out for Criterion. It's like, yeah, but that Parasite is going to sell better than 80% of what they put out.
Yeah, every single like West African movie that they put out in the last 3 years was funded by Parasite for sure.
Yeah.
The but before just to close this like my segment or my part here, there is a comparable movie to The Doll, which is also sold out. So sorry. And it's an old, like 20-year-old or I don't know, maybe 10-year-old or something, but an old Mondo Macabro DVD, which has not been upgraded yet. It's called The Living Doll.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about that one that starts with an A that still hasn't gotten upgraded. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh,
The,
that could be a few Alucarda, maybe.
yeah, that's the one. It's
Oh
still a
yeah,
DVD
yeah,
copy. But yeah,
yeah,
continue.
yeah. Yeah, that one's lost to history, unfortunately, just because of the elements. But no, the living doll is the exact same premise as the doll, except it's about necrophilia,
Same thing.
which is a very Mondo Macabro style of film. But the interesting thing about Living Doll is that the movie never feels gross or I mean, it's gross in the sense that it's a body horror movie and you watch this body decompose. So that part's gross. But the tone of the movie is like this guy's genuinely in love. And um, there's the movie's told in such a way that she comes alive and talks to him when they're alone. So it's similar to the doll in that way.
Okay.
So he doesn't see her as dead ever. So you kind of understand it from his perspective, you know? Like like he's delusional and he's insane, but he just doesn't see her as dead. So it takes at some point the body's going to smell and those kind of things. So it takes, but it takes longer because in his mind she's like talking to him and engaging with him and
Right.
so it's a really cool movie and those are two I just want to call out as like Lars and the Real Girl, but exploitation version, double feature. If you want to think of it like that. But yeah, I could go on and on, man. But what about you? How many movies have you seen so far in 2026?
75.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I've seen a few. I mean, we were snowed. Not all of it's the snow's fault, but we were snowed in, and I couldn't. There
Holy
was nothing else
moly.
to do because I can't work. It's my job if it snows, so that sucked a lot. Like
How many what's the ratio of like new to you?
new to me, I can actually give you the percentage on that since the lovely stats page does that. Let's see. I'd say more, way more not seen than seen.
Okay.
Let's see. 84% first time watches.
Jeez, dude, that's a huge chunk you just knocked out of unwatched movies.
Yeah, and I would love to say that was stuff that was already on my watch list, but that's not the truth. Like I just like I'll get into these like for instance, I started the year off getting really into Scott
Okay.
Adkins movies.
Okay.
So I watched like eight of those, and because they're all on Tubi, so I just like they'd go into the
Oh.
next one. I was like, sure, just fuck, sure. And there were some really good ones. The only thing I really knew Scott Adkins from before that, obviously been a big stunt guy. He's been in things like Zero Dark 30 as small things, but he is
Mhm,
he was in John Wick 4 as a pretty major character. You've seen
mhm,
John Wick 4, right?
No, I
Because
have
he's
not.
oh, okay, okay. He's actually like a really fit dude, but he plays like he's in a fat suit for John Wick 4.
Okay.
Um, huge martial arts guy. But he has quite a few things that were a lot better than I thought they would be. It's kind of obvious why he's not quite on Jason Statham level of like star power. He's just not there. Um, lacks doesn't have quite the same range, but I mean he does all of his own stunts. He's a lot of fun to watch. He's charismatic, at least a lot in his more recent stuff. So like for instance, I'll hit those. Like I hit like I think yeah, it was eight of them. And then after that, I got into just I'm looking. It's just like random stuff on Tubi I'd watch. Try to sit here, think what would interest you. I did watch the new Sam Raimi movie, Send Help.
Oh, okay. What'd you
His
think?
first, yeah, it was great. It was his first horror movie since 2009, so that was nice to see. Rachel McAdams is incredibly good in it. I remember in the 2000s I got real tired of her because she was in everything. Like every time you turned around, Rachel McAdams was in another movie. But since she's had a little bit of break, it was kind of nice. Um, like in this one, they did a good job with her makeup because you kind of forget she's hot for half the movie. So they did good, but they didn't go overboard. It's not like, Charlize Theron in Monster or anything. They did subtle things with her clothes and, didn't give her makeup and things like that. And that was so once she gets to the island and things turn into misery, then the curls come down and the she looks cleaner and things like that. So just good job by them. But it did get me on a little bit of a Raimi watch. I watched The Gift. Have you seen that one?
A lot of people have been telling me I need to see it. I haven't been able to yet. Did you really like it?
Oh, I loved it. I really did.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Raimi was going through. I don't know if he was just going through something, but he did this and um, a a simple plan, really close together. I think within a
Yeah.
couple years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he kind of hit the Southern Gothic thing, and he's really good at it. And I think that's when you kind of remember that he kind of started his career with the Coen brothers. I think they went to the same school. I know they worked together on Crime Wave, and I think they edited one of Raimi's movies, maybe one of the Evil Deads, or they helped out or something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Crime
it,
story. Uh, Wait,
yeah,
you're saying they helped him out on one of his movies?
yeah. I think
Crime.
they were like, I want to say
Hold on.
one of them,
I can tell you immediately. Let me look in
yeah,
his
edited
catalog.
Evil Dead or helped edit Evil Dead, maybe
Yeah.
uncredited.
Yeah, there's some story about that because they were all running together early on,
Yeah, because they're all from Michigan. I think they're all Michigan
somewhere like that.
alumni. Yeah.
Yeah. There's, yeah, man, it's funny. This is a piece of lore that I know, but now that you're like bringing it up, I can't remember.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I was like, I know there's a big connection between them.
Okay, yeah, the internet's going to be mad at us for not having this on the top of our heads. I think it's Within the Woods, which is the very first short film that he made. I
But
feel,
that helped base off Evil Dead. Yeah.
yes, I think there was something to do with that, and then maybe the first Evil Dead as well. And Crime Wave was the movie I was thinking about.
They were definitely involved in that. I think they wrote
They
Crime
wrote it.
Wave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which is apparently terrible. I have not seen Crime Wave yet, but I hear it's not good.
I don't know. They have a Coen Brothers. Obviously, they're goated, but they have a bad history with slapstick comedy, or like that one movie they did. Oh, Lady Killers.
Yeah,
Just
they remade, which we thought, hey, if anybody wants to go to a really old episode, we talked about Lady Killers. What was that, like 5 years ago? Feels like it was a long time ago. But no, I think it's real impressive to watch this because it's still got a lot of Raimiism in it, especially in the humor, but it's kind of toned down a lot. But you kind of feel that Coen brothers in there, like that sense of, I guess their sense of karma, like things don't necessarily work out, even if they should, which I think the Coen brothers have always been really good at, where karma isn't fair. Bad things happen to bad people, but bad things happen to good people too. That's just life.
No, totally, man. I would love to do a Coen Brothers run with you one day, but they're the most nihilistic filmmakers probably ever in history. Just there's no meaning to it. Just things just happen.
And
Like
it's interesting to say that because their films don't necessarily come off as nihilistic.
no,
N-
no, the
I,
tone's not.
yeah, I mean they're legitimately funny. They're a lot of their stuff it has. I mean, my mom still references like Raising Arizona all the time, and I bet she hasn't seen that movie in 20 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um,
Yeah,
so I did what?
Fargo's. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you were gonna say about Fargo?
Well, you don't have to make this a Coen Brothers cast. Fargo is the one for me that I have in my head forever, and then Barton Fink. Those are the two that I have in my head forever. But please go ahead.
Well, if I was gonna pick up Coen Brothers, my number one's always been Our Brother Where Art Thou, but I
Yeah,
think
it's
that's
great.
the Southerner in me that really likes that one.
It's excellent. Yeah.
Which I will bring this up. So, Oh Brother, the guy who played Pappy O'Daniel, you remember the governor in that, right?
Okay.
Let me see his name. I can actually tell you his name because I'm gonna forget. It's Charles Durning, I think.
Yep. 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 Okay.
Charles Durning. Hey, I remembered it. I did this morning just go through all of the When the Stranger Calls movies because I have never seen them, and he is in the original too. I just got a note. When a Stranger Calls Back is weirdly good. Like it's the best one easily.
Well, I don't even know what this movie franchise is.
You've never heard of When a Stranger Calls? There's the calls coming from inside the house, that sort of thing.
No, I don't think so.
Really? Okay, that's fascinating. So,
When were
give you
they
a little
coming out?
bit. The first one came out in '79.
Okay. No, no, no. I need to catch up on these.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, I'll kind of go over them. I just kind of I made a bad assumption there, but no. So when a stranger calls, direct the first two, the original two were directed by a guy named Fred Walton.
Okay.
Didn't have a big career, but this got picked up right after Halloween in '79 because studios were, of course, looking for slasher franchises, things like that. So they kind of take on an old urban legend that's commonly called the babysitter and the man upstairs, which
Okay.
comes from a real case like back in I think in the 1950s where somebody kept calling this girl while she was babysitting and he was calling like from upstairs and ended up I think killing her and doing other horrible things to her. So anyway, that ended up being an urban legend for a long time, and they ended up making it a film in '79 that had pretty decent cast in it. It's got Carol Kane in it. It's got Charles Durning in it, and honestly, I think the best character is the best actor in it is Tony Beckley, who unfortunately had terminal cancer when he played in the film, but he plays the film's killer. So the film kind of just opens up first 20 minutes is the call is coming from inside the house. The children upstairs have been murdered. This is all within like the first 20 minutes of the movie. And it skips ahead like 5 or 6 years where the man has escaped from an asylum. And it's not, you almost kind of assume it's going to be like a Halloween thing where, oh, he's going to go back and like stalk her or whatever. But the guy's just kind of sad and pathetic. Like in almost a way you just feel sorry for him. Because
Okay.
obviously he's not all there. He's just kind of homeless on the street. He kind of gets fixated on things. And the guy who plays him does such a fantastic job. I was doing a little reading on him, and apparently he was an incredibly like sensitive dude. So like he was doing a scene with the main actress, Carol Kane, and he got so upset because he thought he was going to do such a terrible job. And I think he's honestly the best actor in the film. He has a lot of vulnerability to him, and I think it adds a lot. Um, so that was
This
the
is
guy. Let's go ahead. Sorry.
no, I'm sorry to cut you off. This is the guy, Tony Beckley's the guy from Get Carter and the Italian Job, right? He has
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
dude, that guy's an amazing actor. I mean, well, at least in the limited time I've seen him. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, and this was the last film he ever did before he passed away. But yeah, he apparently got real upset because he just thought Carol Kane was just so good, and he's like, "I'm gonna mess it all up." And I'm sure, he had a lot of emotional things going on with him anyway, since he was towards the end of his life. Um, but so they go through this movie. It's pretty good. I think it's kind of paced a little weird because of the time change after they kind of set up a really great tense scene. So in a way, when they do the sequel, so Fred Walton, the director, comes back, Carol Kane comes back, and Charles Durning comes back for a Showtime TV movie, When a Stranger Calls Back in, I think it's, yeah, '93. So 14 years later, they're
Okay.
kind of doing the first Legacy sequel.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And it is incredibly good.
Oh, wow.
Like it's
Okay.
one of those ones where you watch it and you're like, I think they figured it out. Like they figured out how to do this movie,
Okay.
and it's incredibly tense. Like the first 30 minutes of the movie is doing the same thing. Somebody's calling, there's somebody outside the door, that sort of thing, and it's just 30 minutes of this. And it's basically almost like a stage play between two people, and one of which you can't see, because she's just talking to this man from outside the door. Um, and I love stuff like that in horror where they'll just sit there and let the camera just roll for like 30 minutes because they trust that it's going to be interesting. It reminds me a lot of a movie called Willow Creek, which is a found footage movie about Bigfoot, which I'm only bringing up because there's a uncut scene where it's found footage where it's just on the two characters in a tent just listening to sounds around them for like 20 minutes, and I think it's brilliant. I think it's awesome. So it reminds me a lot of
Wow.
that. And we're gonna get into this later, but it kind of reminds me how great TV horror movies could be, especially in this era. We're gonna get one of those with Hooper.
Yeah.
And then they did a remake, of course, in 2006, and it's fine. That's all I can really say about that. It's fine.
Okay.
It
Okay.
exists.
Okay. Okay.
But I think I'll leave it there. I think that covers a lot of different stuff I've been watching. Actually, I will leave one more thing. Speaking of remakes, I did watch the Psycho remake. I have not seen it since I was a kid. Have you ever seen it?
No. No, the 90s one.
Yeah, the one by Gus Van Sant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, how was it?
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
It really wasn't. Like I was sitting there because I mean there is this argument that is this movie useful because it is just a shot for shot remake. They're using the original script, so some parts of it doesn't work. But I'll tell you, I think what really does makes the film kind of lack isn't the parts where they didn't perfectly emulate this 1960 film. It's really the parts where they refuse to make it their own. Like people have always criticized Vince Vaughn for being a pretty different Norman Bates, but honestly, watching it, I was like, he's the only one I feel like who's trying to make it his own. And everyone else is like, I just need to imitate what they did in 1960.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna transition slightly, but it's the same topic. Are you okay if we transition
Sure, go
slightly?
for it.
Because before we jump in, and I know everyone's dying to hear our opinion on the music video that Tobe Hooper shot in 1991, but
I'm glad you watched it, apparently.
but I gotta ask how you feel about the Possession remake. Just first of all, the fact that it even exists as a thing. Second of all, you're much more kind to new movies than I am, so I'm curious how you feel about it.
So you're talking about the remake from the Zulawski film coming in
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Parker
yeah,
Fenton.
yeah.
So I am always going to be hesitant of it because one, Possession's top 10 movie for me.
Exactly.
It's a movie that is very un-American. So having an American remake is risky because it's possible. Like the Ringu is a very Japanese film, but the remake is fantastic, but they Americanized it. Um, and I do think Parker Finn, who has done Smile and Smile 2, are really good mainstream horror films. Like as far as like the guy is talented. Obviously he's not he has I don't think he's made anything amazing,
Okay.
but he's obviously talented.
Okay.
And he's good at creating tension. He's good at paying off scares. I don't know if it's in his wheelhouse, and that's kind of the it could be terrible.
But
And
whose wheelhouse is it in? Like I feel like if you're gonna take somebody who's extremely like I'm not saying this is the right guy, so bear with me, okay?
yeah,
But somebody who's very arrogant or confident, however you want to say it, like Robert Eggers, who has like a clear vision and like he's gonna make it his own thing. Let's just take someone like him, right?
yeah.
I wouldn't even want to see his take on this. Like, I just feel like Zulawski was so fucked up when he made Possession, so emotionally destroyed that he like didn't care about life and he just made this like wholly unique, angry, beautiful, dark like view into the psyche of somebody who's going through like rip has their love like ripped away from them. I just don't know like why would you ever want to try to remake that?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I don't think it's exactly like a studio film, like a studio's pushing for this. So that part of that makes it interesting because I almost wonder if Finn has had to go in and pitch this idea and convince them to remake a pretty, I won't call it obscure, but it ain't something it doesn't matter if it's an IP or not because that IP is not going to make people sit down and watch it. If you're not aware of Possession, this isn't going to change anything.
Right.
So that kind of makes me interested because I was like, if he had to pitch this, maybe he does have a selling point. Because I mean, I can't imagine sitting in front of a studio head and showing them Zulawaski's Possession and saying, I think an American audience would be down for this right now. Like I don't think that's a selling point.
Yeah.
And that's not an insult to the film. It's just like, how did this get off the ground? In some way. Like at least like in '06 when I was talking about when a Stranger Calls getting remade, everything was getting remade. If it had any sort of IP recognition, it got remade. And that got mixed results but even Possession didn't get touched and it's like, okay, what's the selling point here? Like that's what fascinates me.
Yeah, you've said this before, and then there's another guy on the VS Discord who just said this, and it reminded me of you. Go if you're gonna do this, go back and find some poorly made movie with a cool premise, and like go remake that, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't go after, like, don't remake Jaws, right? Like Jaws is fine; it doesn't need to be remade, you know. But like, go find, I don't know, just like there's so many movies that like like I would, as much as I love it, I would love to see like a what's that one from The Witch Who Came from the Sea? Like like that movie doesn't need to be remade, but like take that premise and do something interesting with that because the premise of that movie is so cool.
Yeah, and I would actually like. I'm kind of okay with something like that being remade because I think it can lead people to an old film. Like just, but obviously it's a double-edged sword here. Studios want the name recognition. Like when they're going to remake something, like obviously if you have Friday the 13th, you're like, well, everybody knows what Friday the 13th is. We can do whatever we want with that. And I don't know. I'll kind of take up for remakes in a sense where I think there is this bad mentality where people kind of get into, well, if it's not better than the original, then it doesn't need to exist. I do disagree with that premise. I think there are plenty of remakes that don't exceed the original but are still good movies. I use Texas Chainsaw Massacre as a big example of that. I think the remake is good. It's just not the original movie. Like it's a good horror film and it's really well shot. It takes the idea, it does a remake how you should do it. It doesn't just do a shot for shot. It's doing its own thing. It
Yeah,
has its own tone.
you we should do more. We should do a feature idea for the Zach and Chris show. By the way, Adam's doing great, and he's itching to come back. So at some point in 2026, he'll probably be back. But we should do a remake episode, and you can teach me the art that you have of like judging them as a thing without having to worry about what they were like supposed to be, which is the way I view it.
Yeah, okay. I think I could come up with some interesting remakes. But I do think it's also interesting that people tend to like remakes, I think sometimes more than they like to admit. Like obviously The Fly and The Thing are two obvious examples, but I mean, they are remakes of pretty
Yeah,
good movies.
true.
The Blob, I think, is another one. It's a remake of a pretty solid movie. Another previous episode we have on here was probably made around this. I wonder if, ooh, it'd be funny if Lady Killers and The Blob are on the same episode. I can't remember.
That would be an interesting one.
Because that
Yeah,
was back when we were just whatever the film club came up with, I
exactly. Yeah,
think.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I don't think I could do the Lady Killers remake.
This is the one I'm going to pick.
It's just so dumb. All right. Um, God, man. Speaking of somebody who I like, I think you could probably argue that Tobe Hooper's done, if not a remake, at least he's been involved in some projects that are recycled material, but like not a lot. He is so freaking original. That's one of my favorite things about him.
So that's why we're going to start with a sequel he made, and we're talking about originality.
Dude, but like the best way to make a sequel ever.
Oh, I agree. So let's get into it. Let's get into Hooper. We will talk about his 1986 film, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which was I believe, his final run with Canon Films before they shut down. So let me even though it doesn't matter, I am going to get the synopsis here. Let's see, where's it at?
Dude, while
Uh,
you're pulling this up, oh, you already have it up? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, it's really, thank God, it's a short one. A radio host is victimized by a notorious cannibal family while former Texas Marshal hunts them. That is a perfect letterbox synopsis. Thank you for that. It isn't 4 paragraphs long and tells me the entire plot. But I do want to kind of like put something interesting when it comes to Texas Chainsaw before we get into it. Is really where the state of slashers were at this time. So this is post Halloween coming out. This is post Friday the 13th. This is post Nightmare on Elm Street. So this is just a couple years before we get Chucky, who I'd put in there as a major icon for slashers. But by this point in '86, Halloween had already had 3 movies. Their fourth one's going to be coming out in a couple years. Friday the 13th is on its fourth or fifth film at this point. Nightmare on Elm Street is about to have its third.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is older than all of those franchises, had not had a sequel at this point.
And was wildly successful.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very successful movie. It was very well known. This wasn't like a rediscovered thing. So we're 12 years after the original, and we are now just getting to its second film in the franchise, and it will eventually have, I think, 10? I think ten's about 9 or 10.
Mhm.
That's the kind of thing with Texas Chainsaw. They're always kind of weird and they kind of come out all over the place. And I think it's mostly because of this movie. Like this movie kind of set the tone of what these sequels should and can be. So I would love to hear your thoughts, Chris, on what you thought of this one.
Okay, first of all, the world considers this as the 285th best horror movie of all time.
I accept that.
Yeah, it's up there above Peter Jackson's The Frighteners, the remake of It from 2017. Surprised that Your Next is up there so high, but I'm happy it is. I love that movie. Um, yeah, it's up there with Cabin Fever, Eli Roth. So, it's well-known horror movies. Um, and They Shoot Pictures considers this. Let's see. Oops. Um, so okay, here we go. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is going to be 6,129. So, you know, it's up there, but or it's the middle of the pack. Um, I can't remember how many times I wrote to you that I love this movie as I was watching it and after I finished it. But I also wrote it on the VS Discord like twice, and then I went back and I rewatched it again because I couldn't believe what I just saw. Like there's a month's worth of stuff that I want to unpack about this movie. But my favorite thing, if I were to try to condense it, the fact that the same guy made Texas Chainsaw Massacre and then this, granted 12 years later, but like this is the reason why to me Tobe Hooper is one of the greatest exploitation auteurs ever, because he knew that there's like I feel like he knew either he called it out or he knew intuitively that there's no reason to go back to that world in the same way. Like if we're gonna go back to that world, let's just make something so fucking out there and memorable and crazy that it's unforgettable. And I think he nailed it. I have zero. This movie's probably going to jump up in my top. This movie and TCM, I need to move up in my top. I don't know, 25 movies of all time. Like to me, they're both equally amazing, just in like a different way.
Yeah, so the way I think I remembered when I first watched it is the way I kind of looked at TCM2 is it's kind of the band-aid to like the first one. And that's not an insult to the first one. It's just like the first one is such a gross and uncomfortable movie.
Mhm.
And it's one that he intended in his own way to be a comedy. He kind of looked at it as a black comedy. It just ended up being very horrific. So it's interesting for him to come back 12 years later with TCM2, obviously bigger budget, obviously with probably a more experienced cast and crew, um, and kind of actually, I think, see through what he kind of intended with the first one where it is more of a black comedy. It's very much silly at some points, but not in a negative way. And it still, packs quite a bit of horror stuff in it. Um, I think that's kind of what makes them interesting companion pieces. Is it's not just a repeat because like if we go into the other ones at this point, the second movie is always an interesting when it comes to slasher franchises. With Halloween, it was let's recapture the first movie again. With Friday the 13th, it was like how do we continue this as a franchise? Okay, just make the killer someone else, and we're not going to make them iconic yet. So at this point, when you look at this, second movies are, and then you look at Nightmare on Elm Street too,
Mhm.
which is like the gayest movie that's ever been made. So I mean, you have a lot going on with these with the second outing, and I do think Hooper is successful because he's the only one who came back. Like you look
Uh-huh.
at all the who were the first directors. Wes Craven didn't come back for two.
Uh-huh.
Carpenter didn't technically direct Halloween 2. He kind of
Uh-huh.
did, but didn't
Hmm.
fully. And then Sean Cunningham didn't direct Friday 13th Part 2.
Hmm.
Hooper came back, and I think it's to this movie's success for that.
Oh, 100%. I was trying to think. The only thing I can really compare in terms of something where the sequel just goes so batshit crazy from the original premise is the House movies.
I can't speak on those. I've never seen them.
Okay. It takes the basic concept of
Wait, are we
like,
talking about the Japanese or the one that has the skeleton key? It doesn't matter. I've never seen either one, but
okay, no, the American ones.
okay, got it.
There was, yeah, there were they canon as well? Maybe not. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, the first one is it's almost like an alien situation. Like the first one is this kind of contained horror movie.
Hmm.
And then the second one, the world opens up quite a lot. And there's like, and then by the time they get to the either third or the fourth one, they're in like other dimensions and there's like an animated sequence. And it's just like, what is happening? But it's amazing. Like I love all of these sequels.
I've been meaning to get the box set because I think they did a 1 through 4 box set of that, and
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
curious about them. So I might
I
try to grab them if they're on sale again or if they're not out of print.
if you want to do a lending library situation, I can give you mine, but I think it's worth it. They are awesome. I really, really like them. They're super creative.
I'm sitting here trying to think where I would go, and I don't think you've seen it, but since it's the final chapter of them's coming out tomorrow, that kind of reminds me of like Strangers and Strangers Pray at Night, which came out they came out 10 years apart. First one, of course, is this like slow, methodical, almost 70s style horror film. And then you get to Pray at Night, and it's kind of a very neon colored, very fast paced, almost 80s sequel. It's a little bit more violent. It's got cars that are on fire. It's got a 80s synth soundtrack and an 80s hair metal soundtrack going on. So that would be the closest I can think of right off the cuff of just kind
Yeah.
of going bigger with it and being successful doing it.
Oh, you know what? You're just reminding me now. Scanners is probably a pretty good one of that too. Scanner Cup, Scanners.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember when I almost bought those and didn't quite do it.
But yeah, no, man, I just like the thing that I love about what Hooper does, and I think when Hooper's at his best, he starts in a dark place and then he just gets crazier and darker and like he allows this nightmare to breathe and like grow. Um, so like I think this is a fantastic movie in the sense that like, you know, you take a sometimes it's more of a emotional journey into hell. But like here, you actually go underground into like hell. And I just love his version of Hell on Earth. Like it's just so colorful and loud and chaotic and dark and like frightening. And I don't know. I'm just like I can't stop watching it.
And I think it feels so appropriate that it ends at a theme park because that's kind of how it feels sometimes,
Yes, yes,
especially
yes,
like
yes.
when the movie starts. Like you think about how the first movie starts, where it's this slow zoom out of these like crusty corpses that are like the skin is coming off of them into this hot, unbearing sun. And then this one opens up with dudes shooting out of a car, going at high speeds and just being assholes. Like it opens up 100% different.
Yeah. And you get carnage in the first like what 5 minutes or something. Like it's just it's just a completely different movie from the get-go. And but as much as I am gushing about the final scene, that sequence where one of the brothers or cousins or whatever goes into the radio station is just that's like an all-time scene, man. I
You talking
love
about like
it.
Chop Top, Bill Mosley's Chop Top?
Yes.
Yeah, it's so funny to me because Bill Mosley, of course, is like such a big icon in horror now.
Yeah.
He got this job, from my understanding, if this is true, because he could do a great impression of Jim Sidow's The Cook. Like he's really, really good at the impression. And he ends up actually, I know you probably haven't seen it, but when they do Texas Chainsaw 3D, Bill Mosley actually plays the cook in that scene. They got him to play because, of course, Jim Sidow has passed away at this point.
Oh wow.
So that was kind of nice. But yeah, Chop Top, like his whole character is awesome. I always feel like it's like what maybe Hooper wanted the hitchhiker to be in the
Mm,
first one, and now you have, and I like the hitchhiker in the first one. I think he's very
sure.
entertaining.
Sure.
But Bill Mosley just cranks it up to 11. Like every thing he's in, that whole fucking thing with the taking the piece of what is it, wire hanger, and like scratching his brain plate and then eating
Yes,
pieces of
exactly.
it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, like I mean, think about that. You take like what's considered like one of the most menacing characters in horror at that point, and honestly, the first scene with Leatherface is hilarious. Like he treats his chainsaw like a penis
Yes,
to Caroline Williams, and
yes,
it's just like this is so crazy to do this because I remember seeing this as a kid, and I don't think I watched the whole thing because I think as a kid I didn't really like it because it's such a different tonal change. As an adult, I appreciate it a lot more.
right.
But I'm curious what the like reaction was to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 because it can't be what anybody imagined it would be.
Absolutely not. Like 30 minutes in, people must have been rioting.
And I mean, think about how they sell it too. Like it's amazing to me Dennis Hopper is in this movie.
Oh, he's so good in
And I'm
this.
like, how the fuck did we get Dennis Hopper in this movie?
God, he's so good. Like he just understands that role. Like I'm not gonna say this is one of his best roles because he's got a lot of good roles, but like he's so fun in this movie.
Yeah, like he's obviously having a pretty good time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that helps too. I think the whole cast is. Like even that dude with the glasses in the first scene seems to be having like a fantastic time.
Yeah. No, it's true. I'm trying to think of, yeah, Bill Johnson's the guy that played Leatherface, right? He just understood exactly, I think, what needed to happen for like this character in this movie. He got
Yeah, and I'm sure it's disappointing for some people that Gunnar Hansen didn't get a chance to reprise the role, but I don't know if Gunnar Hansen's Leatherface works in this movie. Like you look at like Leatherface in the first one, he's actually just kind of pitiful.
yeah,
Like, there's this like you watch him and he's obviously just upset that there's all these random people that keep coming into his house.
yeah.
And I don't think it works like as well here. Like I think you need somebody who's got like a lot more agility to them. They got a lot more energy to them. I think that works better for this type of movie.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you're right. And I'm curious, how much of that was intentional versus just maybe Gunnar wasn't available or who, I mean, I don't know the backstory there,
Yeah, I
but
don't either, to be honest.
they got the perfect guy. I mean, the physicality in this role is so important because he has to kind of convey a lot of, he's much more childlike in this movie, I think, right? But um or maybe like more of like an adolescent. I don't know the best way to say it.
Yeah, that's more hyper fixated on. Like,
Yeah,
there's a lot of things they kind of Leatherface as a character because like the whole thing with that most of the sequels have realized is the scariest part of Texas Chainsaw isn't necessarily Leatherface. It's the family around him that's
yeah,
terrifying. And
yeah,
so, great job bringing, you have Chop Top in this one with Bill Moseley. You have Jim Sideow, who's coming back as the cook, which was fantastic that they were able to get him back because
yeah,
I think he's even better in this one.
yeah,
He's just, he just seems to be having, like everyone else, just seems to be having a pretty good time.
yeah. I think it's I think it's kind of like the perfect way to summarize this movie. It's like it's almost as if in a way Hooper was like, no, I'm not doing a sequel to Texas Chainsaw. And they're like, come on, here's $1 million or whatever, here's a bunch of money. And he's like, I mean, look, if you give me total creative control, I'll do it. And this is like a fuck you to them in a way, but not in the sense that he made a bad movie, just that it's like not what any producer ever would have wanted out of a
Yeah, you're
sequel.
sitting there at Canon Films. You're like, oh my God, we're going to get to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre too. The slasher boom is massive right now.
Right, right.
And then it's like, oh. And just because I looked it up, it was Canon gave him $4.7 million dollars,
Okay.
and it made 8 million at the domestic box office.
Yeah, that's tricky because you're in VHS era by this point, but for theatrical run, that's I mean, Texas Chainsaw was what 100,000 and it made 100 million, or I don't know what the numbers are, but it was one of these just financial gold mines, right?
So interesting. I just found this out. Apparently, I'm not fact checking this off the cuff. Canon made a profit on this movie before it even came out because they sold the rights to Japan for $21 million as long as they had the movie come out by August 22nd, 1986.
Wow. Okay, so let me change what I just said. Imagine being a Japanese producer.
They're like, oh, big American movie, big American movie. Here we go.
I'd be curious to see what numbers this did in Japan. But um, wow. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I could just gush about this movie for a long time. Like I said, I watched it twice. Um, I just love it. Like to me, it's like it's the perfect exploitation movie.
And I'm trying to see if Grandpa, the same actor for Grandpa, came back because I'm actually not sure. I think it is.
Oh, that's awesome because he had this very similar type scene,
No, it's
right?
actually a different actor. Interesting. I just remember, I know the actor for the first one does come back from Texas Chainsaw, and he somehow looks worse, even though I think he's like 20 years old when he gets the makeup in the first one. And
Okay.
so he's closer to the age when they do the weird legacy sequel thing in the 2010s, and the makeup looks terrible. I wish I could show you a picture. It looks awful. And it's like, it should be easier. He's like 50 years older. Like, this should be way easier now. But yeah, I any final thoughts on TCM2? I mean, besides, I think the biggest selling point is Dennis Hopper has a chainsaw fight with Leatherface. I feel like that is the selling point of the movie. So if you haven't seen it, go see it for that.
It's gonna sound like hyperbole, but this movie is so good. It's so chaotic and um like messy, but typical Hooper fashion, he knows how to work in that space. So for him, it always feels like it's in control. And I just think there's so few people that can pull off this movie. Like it has to be him in a way, you know?
Yeah, and I think the sad part is like I hate that Canon really went out of business because I think about like from his career on, he never really has. This is his to me his most polished and one of his most complete movies.
Yeah, I like
And
that.
yeah,
Hmm.
and then after this, I mean, we're going to talk about spontaneous combustion in a minute, but
Hmm.
he's not getting the budgets. He's mostly moving to TV.
Hmm.
And I feel like the Canon going out of business was probably one of the most detrimental things to his career.
The Hooper run of like who Hooper is as a filmmaker kind of ends here, right? Although I'm gonna gush on a movie later in just a minute, but the Cooper like the Hooper like decent budget, full creative control, like that run kind of ends here.
Yeah, and I mean, he's never going to have the budget again from here on out. He's never going to have full
Mm-hmm.
control.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad. It really is. It's kind of yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it happens to all of them though. Like since we're going to get talking about Carpenter when we get into later, I mean Carpenter talks about The Thing a lot and how it essentially ruined his career. Like
Wow,
it's the
that's
movie he's
crazy.
the most proud of,
Yeah.
but it failing the way it did really harmed his career because he
Oh
said they never trusted him again.
man,
And you have to wonder, like, his three canon movies were successful, I believe, if I remember what we went over before, but they weren't ever a massive hits.
mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
even when he gets into a new studio, they're still not going to trust him the way Canon did.
Right. Yeah, because in Canon, they knew how to exploit and or use his brand in a great way. Like they were such a strong marketing company, right? But his brand had kind of lost steam by the late 80s. Um,
And I think they all were. Like, I think, you look at all of them, you look at Craven, you look at Romero, they kind of hit a rough spot in the mid 80s.
right.
And some of them kind of got a little bit back, but they never recaptured what they did during the new Hollywood era.
I, man, I know that we probably have already spent too much time on this topic, but it was kind of happening worldwide, right? Like Italian, all the spaghetti westerns and all the Poliziotteschi movies and all these Fellini movies, they were all shot on a studio called Cinecittà or Cinecittà or
Hmm.
something. And like that studio was basically bankrupt by the 80s, right? They were barely hanging on. Japan was their like theatrical movies were completely decimated by the 80s. As VHS ramped up, people just stopped going to theaters, right? Because they had an option to just stay at home now.
Yeah, and I mean, I think theaters hit a big stride in the 90s again. Um, you get a new, like that's when the indie boom comes in, that's when you have people like Wes, Paul Thomas Anderson, and you have Quentin
Mhm,
Tarantino, and
mhm,
all of
mhm.
them are starting to make their career, and they're really hitting that medium budget movie, so it's not such a huge risk for a studio, and they're able to
Yeah,
market it. And of course, for better or for worse, Weinstein is coming in with Miramax and pushes a lot of theater stuff in. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing because the video market was so big in the late 80s.
right.
Every slasher movie you could probably read on 90% of them after 84 was not successful in theaters, got a massive boon in the VHS
Home video.
market.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right, 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 right.
But
And then,
posters were great. Like posters were awesome at this time because that's how you sold it.
and again, sorry to keep going on, but there's a really interesting story about the creation of V Cinema in Japan.
Mm,
Arrow Video put out that V Cinema box set. Because for them, they did some math and they realized that, like, let's say there's 2,500 video stores in Japan, right?
mm.
So if they just sold, one copy to each video store, then the movie could make this much money. And if they sold two, they could make this much money. And they basically just kind of got deals with these video stores, and they knew exactly how much to spend on a movie, and they would always double their expenses by selling it these copies to the video stores. So like VHS was helpful in getting a lot of movies made, but it just changed the way that people watched, and it made it harder to find a lot of this stuff because people weren't thinking of preservation in the same way that they were for theatrical stuff.
No, I mean, how many times I mean, and that lasted forever. I mean, you think back to Event Horizon, which came out in 97.
Yeah,
They still don't have all the elements
that's
for
crazy.
that. And you'd think at that point preservation is starting to be talked about. But no. And I mean, even the Paul W.S. Anderson's even talked about he doesn't think they exist anymore. And I
Interesting.
mean, that's kind of a sad thing to have to deal with. Like
Oh, of course.
these, and I mean, people have always made fun of the fact they're in salt mines, but that's weirdly one of the safer places for them. But doesn't mean preservation hasn't happened. What was it, Wake and Freight, that was like a couple days away from being destroyed in a shipping container in Pittsburgh. Like that movie was almost just lost, and
That's
now it's been
crazy.
released 87 times. But
Right.
at one time, that movie was hard to find.
Interesting. Well, speaking of movies that are hard to find, I mean, he entered into a phase in his career here where one, two, three, four, five, six out of the next eight things that we're going to talk. Well, I don't know if we're going to talk about all of them, but six out of the next eight things that he did were TV.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of a weird blow to go through, and I mean. So not a lot of theatrical. I can't remember. I didn't look it up, and maybe you did. So we're going to talk about spontaneous combustion.
Yeah.
I don't did this one get a theatrical release? Do you know?
You know what? I'm sorry. I don't
I don't
believe so
either.
though.
Yeah, I don't know for sure either. But for anyone who hasn't heard of this one, because this is one I had not heard of
Hmm.
even before we started doing this, a young man learns that his parents have been used in an atomic weapons experiment shortly before his birth, and that the results have had unexpected effects on him. So this stars one of my favorite actors, Brad Dourif,
Yeah.
who's always great. So this is a year after Chucky. So this is, obviously he had been an actor for quite a while before this, but he became more of a household name a year later. So at least Hooper can still get pretty solid actors in his projects.
Sure.
Um, but definitely Brad Dourif's kind of the big one, along with Bears Super Bowl winning coach Dick Butkus, who's no wait, I'm thinking of the wrong person. Dick
No,
Butkus was on
no.
the Bear. Was he the coach actually?
Oh, I
Or
don't
was he just a
know.
player? I think he was
I
just a
think he's a
player.
player. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
My friend who's a Chicago Bears fan is gonna be mad. I can't remember who the actual coach was now.
yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
so what did you think of spontaneous combustion?
I don't really know how, like, I don't want to be negative on it because I don't necessarily, this seems to me like Hooper got creative freedom, but no budget.
Yeah, like I'll be honest, I wasn't crazy about this one. I don't. I feel bad because I don't know if I have a lot to say. I think it's a good idea. Like I like the idea of it, and I think some of the fire stunts are really, really cool.
Sure.
But I really feel like that's all it's got going for it. Like I
No,
don't.
I yeah, go ahead.
No, I say I just I feel bad because I do think Dorff is good in the film. I don't think
Yeah.
it's his best performance. I don't think this is Exorcist 3. I don't think this is some of his, this isn't Worm Tongue here.
Right.
But it's good. Like he's obviously putting effort and he's obviously carrying a movie as hard as he can. But I
Hmm.
don't know if they give a lot for his character to really do a lot.
I think the problem I have with this is like Hooper, okay, you could probably say this about a lot of Hooper's movies. The plot for most of his movies can be written on the back of a napkin, right?
Yeah.
But in spontaneous combustion, it's like a line on the napkin. It's not even, it doesn't even take up the napkin. And you just got this wafer thin idea that I don't, but because it's low budget, it's like you can't get by on the TCM2 style craziness. Like you really can't get by on just vibes. Like you need this to have something else to it. And I think ultimately, like it's fine. Like it's not terrible. Um, you know, but if this came on and I didn't know it was Tobe Hooper, I don't think I would finish it.
No, I really didn't feel a lot of Hooperisms in it. Like
Yeah.
I think when I think of Hooper, I think of something weird. Even if the movie is mostly normal, there's still something kind of strange to it.
Hmm.
And this one kind of, I'm not going to accuse somebody of just working for a paycheck, but I also wouldn't be surprised if I found that out.
Well, it's interesting that he wrote the story and the screenplay and
Yeah.
directed it. So, who knows if this was just like a pitch that he gave to some TV studio or some whatever Taurus Entertainment is, some production
Yeah, I mean,
studio.
I'm sitting here and looking at the studios that have it. It's like Black Owl Productions and VOSC, and it's like, what are the fuck are these companies?
Yeah.
And when I look at them on Letterbox, that is the only thing these companies made. Like, I guess after Canon, I wish I should have looked it up. I wish I had, but I wonder if he was just trying to search for a company that could give him that freedom. Because
Yeah.
I feel like, he probably did have freedom on this movie. I can't
Yeah.
imagine that it was expensive. I mean, fire stunts aren't expensive, they're just hard to do.
No, but it's got cool, like, okay, the pluses for this movie is like all the body special effects are really good, right? Like,
Yeah.
you basically have to be convinced that this guy is, the premise of the movie is that his parents were killed because they were test subjects in absorbing nuclear energy, right?
Yeah, and that feels like up to Hooper's alley completely.
Totally.
Yeah.
And at first they lived, but and they had a kid, but they both died from spontaneous combustion. And now this kid is raised and is relatively normal. And we meet him as an adult, and he gets stress in his life, and something stirs in him. It's almost like what's that X-Men? Which X-Men is it where you see
Oh, you're asking the wrong guy here.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, there's a scene where Jean Grey turns into the Phoenix, and you just see her lose control of her body. It's a
Yeah.
similar type of scene as that. But like you've got this thing where he just all of a sudden he's shooting fire out of his arms, not like his fingers, but like his arm, or like, you know, he
There's like a
just
whole scab thing there. Yeah.
yes, exactly. And you're like, oh man, this guy's just totally losing control of his body. And like, what do you do with that? And then he goes on this discovery because they lied to him about who his parents were. So there's that whole story. I don't know.
I think my issue is I don't think the theme matches up with what it does. Like I feel
Mm,
like thematically it almost wants to be this loose commentary on nuclear testing and things like that. And of course we're talking 40 years after the dropping of the atomic bomb, so not exactly recent events at this point. Um but when you think of it, like when I think of this premise, I'm thinking of a guy who's becoming mentally unstable and lashes out. And I almost feel like the movie would be better focusing on that because the problem with like the nuclear power thing is you can never put him at blame for anything. Like it's not
yeah.
nothing's his fault, so there's no real like
Yeah,
I feel
that's a
like if he was getting angry and he couldn't control himself, but I feel like he there would be a little bit more. something there
No,
to
man, I
explore.
think you nailed it. I think you helped bring it in really well. That it's not because he's not a villain here. It's hard to make him a villain.
Yeah, because he was born with this. Like it's nothing. He can't control it. I mean,
Yeah,
and they don't really go over the rules of how it happens. Sometimes he does get annoyed and nothing happens. And obviously, I mean, I assumed that the guy got angry throughout his adult life at some point. Like you know, and now stuff is starting to happen. It's like, okay, it's interesting. I don't know if it's really says a lot though.
yeah, no, you nailed it. That's exactly it, man. I think the problem is there's no counter for him. They just present him as like this guy that's falling apart. And isn't it cool that he's like burning from the inside and about to explode? Which, yeah, fine,
Yeah.
that is pretty cool. But that's more of like a short story cool. That's not like a full feature cool.
Yeah, yeah. So I hate to move on so quickly, but I think we might both like the next one better. So any
Mhm.
final thoughts on spontaneous
No,
combustion?
other than just to say that it's somewhat beloved. So
Is it?
it
Okay, I
is
didn't look much about it before I came on.
not a lot, but it is in the 3,131 on They Shoot Zombies.
Okay.
So it has its defenders, and it is on They Shoot Pictures ranked higher than Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
What?
Yeah,
I know once you would get past 5,000, it gets ridiculous, but like that's insanity. I don't even know if I've ever heard of this movie before we did this
yeah.
podcast.
The
Like
the
that's insane.
the only reason I can't, I mean, I there's no world in which that's true. Like I don't know what people are. Yeah, I don't know. The only reason I could see it maybe being true is if there's like a Brad Dourif people, or I don't know, maybe some of the actors, or I don't know. Like
Yeah.
there's people that came to this outside of it being like a Tobe Hooper thing. Um,
Yeah, I could see that.
but I don't know how anybody puts it on their top 10 movies of all time list. That just, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm sorry, but like, no, it's not.
Especially compared to TCM2, like, and this is maybe the difference of just getting generalized critics versus horror critics, but it's like I could see numerous people having the Texas Chainsaw on their top 10. I don't think I've ever met a person that I've even bumped into accidentally who would have spontaneous combustion on their top 10.
Exactly.
Like that's
Yeah.
insane.
It's like a trolls pick, but it's up at 4,500, so it's like multiple
Jesus.
trolls. Yeah.
Um, so I think next we have I'm Dangerous Tonight,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm excited about this one. So this is actually a TV movie. It is about an ancient Aztec cloth with a curse accidentally finds its way into the possession of a young woman. She decides to make a dress from the cloth. Whoever wears this cloth or slash dress comes under its spell. All inhabitants and moral responsibilities are lost. That's too long of a pitch, but okay, let's go with it. So this is really him doing his first TV movie since I guess Salem's Lot, which he did in '79.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a big foray back to him. It's assuming Spontaneous Combustion was not a TV movie. I did not see anywhere where it said it was.
No, I
So
don't think it was. I don't think it
no.
was.
So what did you think about I'm Dangerous Tonight?
So yeah, we'll just get this out of the way. So They Shoot Zombies does have it 8,757. So it's getting near the bottom of They Shoot Zombies.
I feel like it
I
needs to be higher.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna make that argument in just a moment. It's not on They Shoot Pictures, and I'm going to attribute that to the fact that this is just kind of hard to find.
Yeah, I wonder if some people, because you do this. I think everybody does this where they say, "Well, I'm not going to count this movie because it's technically a TV thing." Like I would count this in TV stuff, not in
Right.
movie stuff.
Or they say I want to do everything with Hooper, and they can't find it after 10 minutes of searching, and so they just give up and like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, because it took me a bit to find this on a sketchy Russian site.
Yeah, I think I found the same one.
I was like, okay, sure. And I was like, the Blu-ray is really available, but we were recording in 2 days, and I was like, I don't think it's coming. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm Dangerous Tonight is it's what it's I think it's made really well because it's exactly like what we just said a minute ago. Like the plot can be written on the back of a napkin. Um, Basically, like this red dress is just makes people vicious and evil and violent, right? And
yeah, Kills
Um,
your inhibition.
kills your inhibition. Yeah. So it's an interesting premise, kind of like a folklore, like what the Grimm's fairy tales. It's one of these like simple kind of stories, horror stories.
Oh, you're gonna hate my comparison, I think.
Okay, good. Can't wait. But I'm glad that Hooper was engaged in this because I think I love it how he sets up um the women in this movie are very striking, but they're a very particular type of striking where it's like they can easily go dark. And I think it's really good casting because
I
both,
agree.
yeah, like both lead women in this movie are beautiful and sweet when they need to be, and beautiful and really like femme fatale when they need to turn that on. And they both do a great job.
They can have a bite, and yeah, they need a bite to them.
Yeah. What's your comparison?
So I have a lot of love for teen curse type things. So we're talking about like Wish Upon, Polaroid, that sort of thing. The stuff that like Blumhouse was really making like
Okay.
10 years ago. And it reminds me of a really, really good version of that.
Ah,
Just
okay.
like, yeah, like obviously they're a little bit older, they're in college, but I'm like, there's something about like teenagers, very young adults getting into some type of shenanigan that
Uh-huh.
they might not even be their fault. Like this one's not really her fault. Like she buys a trunk and this cloth that just happens to be in it. Like, this isn't like, oh, we're gonna go piss on the corpse of this with an Ouija board, and then
Right,
you're
right,
like,
right,
yeah,
right,
you
right.
all, yeah, it's like you get what's coming to you. But I don't know, like I've always enjoyed those type of movies. I think they're very simple, but I think, watching this and so much credit to it just because like this is a TV movie. There's some limitations. I think it came on the USA Network,
Mhm.
which made me realize how old the USA Network is. I did not realize it was that old. Um, and so there's still a ton of limitation there, and it's so good.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's taking like it's not a deep movie in any ways. Like I think when we talk about spontaneous combustion, there's this attempt to be a really deep story, and it may be something Hooper has some interest in. This one is a lot simpler. It's a lot more what you see is what you get. This sort of cursed object thing.
Yeah.
And but he's just so good at it. Like you're doing this
Mhm.
on a TV movie, and I'm always in love when you see these TV movies done by horror directors or just any director who is successful and still doing it. Because obviously you're limited on how you can kill people, you're limited on, if you can't show any nudity, you can't cuss out until a certain
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
So to see that and to see how well this works, I give him a ton of props. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. He also, this guy, this had a surprising amount of extremely established actors in it, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because
Of
like
course,
the
Anthony
most,
Perkins. Yeah.
well, that's the thing. Like Anthony Perkins, D. Wallace Stone is in this.
Arlie Ermy, who I was very excited to see because I think this is the
Exactly.
youngest I've seen him in a speaking role. Like
Yeah.
he is in Apocalypse Now, but he doesn't have a speaking role in that.
Yeah, exactly. Jason Brooks, who's just like always the guy behind the guy, but like he's in everything.
Yeah.
Just like it's a really good cast. And like we already mentioned, the lead actors, the two lead actresses in this movie really understand the assignment and do a great job of um and then
I mean,
yeah,
it's
I
got
just
a Twin Peaks alumni in it.
Twin Peaks alumni who
Match and Anik.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
I probably butchered the hell out of her name, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. It's Madgen, who knows?
When there's two dots above the A, I don't know what it wants me to do.
And nobody does.
I feel like they're just making it up.
Nobody does. But there's nothing bad to say about this. Like if you want to think if I could be as succinct as possible, I would say like this is the kind of thing you typically see as part of an anthology. And it's like a really good section in like an anthology, but this is stretched out to a feature. And I think it's great.
Yeah, like now that you say that, I could absolutely see this being in Masters of Horror,
Yeah.
and that sort of because it's in that budget range. It's in that, you're still getting talent, you're still getting a lot of creative freedom. And I'm trying to remember who wrote it. Oh, the guy who wrote it was it's based on a story by Cornell Woolrich, one or the other. but he did some Hitchcock stuff back in the day. He wrote Rear Window. He wrote the story for Rear Window, The
Wow.
Leopard Man. So he was, so and once you kind of see that, like it's just an old timey writer, and so I kind of feel like this is what this story is. It almost feels like an old timey story
Absolutely. That's
because
a
I mean,
great that's why it feels like that because Cornell Woolrich is on this.
yeah, because so this is like 1990, and it does. I probably wouldn't have guessed it necessarily. I would have probably thought it was sometime in the 80s if I didn't know it going into it.
Right.
Because and that's not any way a slight towards it because I really liked it. Like this is one I watched and I really didn't expect a lot, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
And I probably have this in my top four Hooper right now, like in all
Yeah.
honesty, because I just enjoy the simplicity of it.
Okay. There's a comparison I'm gonna make. There's a movie Wong Kar-wai made called The Hand,
Hmm.
and it's just a segment of like an anthology. But for me, like I always make the argument that I think it's his best work. So like sometimes simplicity, you're like, I don't know, just everything kind of clicks, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think because I think there's like a distinct difference between TV, movie, and direct to video. Like I almost feel like sometimes they get interchanged sometimes.
Mm,
But I do think there's a quality difference. Like when you talk about like this era of TV movie,
mm.
TV movies were taken seriously.
Sure,
Like they were still a prestigious thing.
sure.
If
Yeah,
you
they're
if you got ahead of one, like this is the same year the It miniseries comes out,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then you think of Someone's Watching Me in the late '70s. You think of uh, oh God, now I'm blanking. Storm of the Century, which came out in the late '90s. I think that's a phenomenal miniseries, TV movie sort of thing.
All right. Yeah, yeah.
I think that is something I kind of miss now. Like when we watch these, it's like there isn't really a analog version
Yeah.
of this anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, you see all these streaming sites clamoring for content, but it's different.
Yeah, no, it's slop. Like
Yeah.
I don't mean to sound pretentious about it because I mean I'm sure I've seen plenty of things I've liked, but I don't know, like the TV movie of the week, you think about an HBO movie that came out that they made and stuff like that, and there was some prestige behind that.
Well, are you old enough to remember circling the TV guide?
Yeah, yeah, like I mean I remember my parents doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
I got into I guess TiVo and stuff came around when I was maybe in second or third grade.
Perfect. So you could record and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, which I mean we didn't have TiVo TiVo. It was some version that DirecTV had. But yeah, I mean you could do that. I mean that's how you did everything. It pretty much
Right.
and all that did was replace the way you could set up a VHS player. But
Yeah.
that's all it really did to my parents. They were like, "Oh, this is just easier than setting up the VHS player."
Right, right, right. Yeah, because you would just record on the VHS, but it was this cultural thing, right? Because it was
Yeah.
like you said, Friday at 8 o'clock. I'm Dangerous Tonight's coming on. Like it's who knows if it's going to be on again. So it would get 5 million eyeballs or whatever, right?
Yeah, and I mean, and of course, you'd see the page in the TV guide if it was something like this, like director of Poltergeist, probably at this point.
Right, exactly.
New supernatural movie from the director of Poltergeist.
Right, right. And I think these movies are satisfying. We can move on, but I think these movies are satisfying, just like you said, because you kind of know what you're going to get from this, and it
Hmm.
delivers really well on that promise.
This is an execution type movie. It's
Right,
not about reinventing anything. It's not about subverting anything. It's taking something that's been done before and how well can you make it?
right,
And
right.
that's something, I've talked about a lot, big slasher guy. It's why people who like slasher movies can keep rewatching the same plot because eventually you get to when you're like, holy shit, they did something really exceptional here with something that's been done a million times.
Yeah. What's that? The one that I always think of for that. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name right now, but you'll know it. It's the movie that has its own theme song. It's set on an island, and it's set in a cabin on an island, and it's rainy, and there's a guy that has a giant hook, and he's chasing people. Um, uh,
Um, it's one of those things where that plot is like so parodied that I really don't know which one it is.
Um, oh God, everybody's screaming it right now who's listening. But yeah, there's anyways, it's a movie that follows the formula. I'll remember it here in just a second. It's a movie that follows the formula, but at the same time, it's so wholly unique, and its own thing that you just can't help but love it. It's like,
I think when these plots, you can't have any sort of shame. Like, and I don't mean that's a bad thing, but you have to be pretty unashamed of what you're doing
yeah,
and
absolutely.
saying, yeah, you're just saying, look, I'm not going to be self-conscious that I'm doing this.
Right, 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 right.
Speaking of that, we're since we're to go more into his TV work before we get to his other movie, I figured we talked about doing some of his just TV episode work. And so the first one seems to be chronologically, he was invited on to start the show, Freddy's Nightmares, which ran for two seasons
Yeah.
in 87, 88.
Yeah, 80 his yeah, 88 I think. And then
Yeah.
it was used again as a part of an anthology in 93. It was released as a separate episode with one other like segment.
Yeah, and I think, and the reason I really wanted to go in this too, because as we go with Hooper, the horror anthology is going to be something that's going to come up again and again and again and again.
Sure.
So I think this one's really interesting. I think Freddy's Nightmare, I have never seen the whole show. I've seen random episodes through the years, but I think it's really interesting that the first season had pretty big names in it. Mick Garris is also one of the directors here. And there was a
Mhm.
few, and Robert Englund directed a few episodes.
Mhm.
And it's interesting that they seem to have really wanted to push getting these guys into horror who are into horror to come in and kind of do their own thing. Of course, for anyone who's never seen Freddy's Nightmares, there are some episodes that's about Freddy Krueger. The mass majority of them are Tales from the Crypt episodes where it's Freddy Krueger instead of a crypt keeper.
Yeah.
So Hooper was kind of fortunate enough to get to start to do the first episode, which is really treated as a prequel to the first film because we always hear that Freddy Krueger got off on a technicality, and we don't really get to see how all that happened. It's just always talked about by the parents.
Yeah.
So we get to see that a little bit here, and I'll be honest, I kind of talk about it a little bit first. I'll be honest, the first little bit, I was kind of thinking this is not great. Like it's fine. It was nothing offensive. It was just kind of like eh. After the trial stuff is over, which I think is
Hmm.
done not great,
Hmm.
I think Hooper stuff actually like opens up a lot. Like you see like a lot of this like green and red lighting that he has
Yeah.
like everywhere, and
Right.
then like the cutting of like I think there's a part where he's like opens his like veins or something up, and it's like red and green goo is like coming out and stuff like that. And I was like, see, that's stuff that's really cool, and I think that's why you hire somebody like Hooper to do this because all that's
Cooper
really neat.
Cooper seems to Cooper's Cooper. I keep saying
Hooper,
Cooper.
yeah, yeah, all the vowels and stuff are getting mixed up. You're good.
Hooper really seems to like to go big when he has a chance to go big, and I like
Yeah.
that about him.
Yeah, and I mean, you have a lot of you're really confined here. I mean, I don't think any of these are given a budget. Like this is small time TV on some network. Maybe it was Showtime when they were smaller.
Mhm.
You're not getting a lot here, and
Mhm.
you probably have a very strict filming schedule, so you get what you can get.
Mhm.
And I think with it, he does well. And I think maybe doing something like I'm Dangerous Tonight, where it's also going to be a little bit more strict, I think does help him, kind of develop here. And when we talk about Tales of the Crypt, um, because I think one of the hardest things in TV is not a director focused medium.
Right.
It's really a writer focused medium.
Okay.
So to me, that's how I kind of see it. Like showrunners are usually writers, and they're usually the focus of most TV shows.
Okay.
So when you take somebody like Hooper, I think what's impressive is he's still able to get a little bit of himself out in it. Like,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, it still feels Hooperisms at some points. And I think it's cool to kind of see him take on a character like Freddy Krueger because that's so associated with Wes Craven. That's just kind of neat
I,
that he's given the kind of this opportunity.
we're gonna talk about this next time we record because there's I watched one extra movie by accident.
Hmm.
But he gets a take on the Marquis de Sade as well coming up.
Okay.
And I think it's but playing into what you just talking about, Freddy Krueger by this point had kind of transcended Wes Craven. It was more than just Wes Craven, right?
Sure. Yeah.
He was this cultural kind of icon. And I think what I like about this TV show is that got it. Like he's like, oh, okay, like this is a monster. Like I like monsters. Let's go. Let's have some fun with it. You know?
Yeah. And I mean, I think a big thing for the show was still being able to have Robert England involved.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I can't imagine this goes through two seasons without Robert England.
No, no way. He's so iconic in the role. Yeah.
And I do have to talk about like one thing. I don't know if you noticed it, but I thought it was funny the whole time. What rank does our main protagonist cop have? Do you know?
Oh gosh, no, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Neither do I, because they call him three different things during the episode. They treat him as a deputy in the courthouse. At one time, they call him a chief, and then another time, they call him a lieutenant. They have no idea what his rank is, which doesn't make
Really?
sense because I'm pretty sure John Saxon, the original, is a sheriff, which is an elected official. Not chiefs are not elected. That's a job. So I have no idea what's going on. I don't think the writers did either. They just called him whatever they wanted to.
Sounds like they don't either. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just going with. My girlfriend even called it. She's like, "Wait, didn't they just say he was a chief?" I was like, "I thought so too." I was like, "I have no idea what's going on."
That's awesome. I didn't catch that, but I'm glad you brought it up. He he did okay, so he did this one in 88, and then he did Spontaneous Combustion, Dangerous Tonight, and then I actually saw Haunted Lives. I watched it, his episode on it. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all for
I did not see that one, so I am,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
But I
fine.
did get the timeline. You're right. Yeah, so he did I'm Dangerous Tonight after this. I just realized that. Okay, so yeah. Okay.
But I mean,
Interesting.
your point is still there, right? TV and TV movies, they're all there's like a discipline to them that you have to get, right? You become very efficient as a director. Which to be honest, Hooper probably needed. Like he he's not efficient. I mean, storytelling he is, but he likes to really go big and things. Um, he also made a music video in this time called there's a kind of a hair metal band called The Storm.
Hmm.
Song is Show Me the Way, and it's a very stereotypical, like they're on a platform and the camera's zooming in from a wide shot close up, and then it's circling around them and then zooming back out, and it's raining, and like it's fine. I'm sure someone just told him like watch these 10 music videos and go make one or whatever.
Yeah, because I mean, this isn't the era of like propaganda films where people are learning to be directors from music videos. Yes.
No,
So
no,
it's almost like this is kind of an early version of that where you get established directors
that's
to
true.
make it. Which I mean, we still get to a point. David Fincher still does stuff for Madonna, I believe, or Justin Timberlake.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
yeah, so I mean, it still happened. But of course, David Fincher started with music videos. Zack Snyder, music videos. Michael
Michael
Bay, music
Bay, yeah,
videos.
yeah,
Spike
yeah,
Jones, music videos. It's
right.
that's how they all got started.
Michelle
Um,
Gondry, yeah, there's a ton of them.
yeah, they all started there, and so it's kind of an interesting thing because I think Hooper already has a certain visual flair to him. So him being chose to do a music video makes sense in that
It
in
does.
that yeah, because he has a
Unfortunately,
visuality to him.
he does. Unfortunately, this music video didn't use that. I have a I have a theory about it because we don't have to talk too long about a 4-minute music video, but I think the band probably liked him and just asked him to do it, is my guess. Because there's nothing in this that screams Tobe Hooper. Like it's a music, it's like a standard music video. Like it's
And
very
especially like, could you imagine a music video that's like Eaten Alive? Like that visual flair to it? That'd be awesome.
exactly that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
But no, it's just a very standard like hair metal kind of like, with there's an acoustic guitar, so they're tuned down and just sexy, and it's just zooming all around them. It's I don't know, it's fine. But then yeah, then he gets into Tales from the Crypt, which is the next one I think on our list, right?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, this is I think goes more into the point of it's a writer's medium, and I love Tales from the Crypt.
Sure.
but it's really hard for a director to stand out in Tales from the Crypt.
Especially by the third season or whatever.
Yeah, you're pretty much told how you're doing
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so it's hard to talk about Hooper here because I do like the episode. I think it's a pretty solid Tales from the Crypt episode.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's what
It's
you expect.
it I mean it's cool. It deals with, racism, and it deals with some of the old Americana kind of tropes, and it twists them in a really good way. It's interesting.
And I do forget every time I go back to Tales from the Crypt. I'm like, man, these actually were more violent than I remember.
No, and nudity. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
What when were these on? Like, were
and then
these
it's
on?
like, who made this? Oh, HBO. That's right.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, because there was like a lot of blood in it, or like, a
Yeah,
lot of
like that
bodies.
decapitation at the end's actually kind of a lot. I was like, that's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Tales from the Crypt is good. And this is a good one in it. But yeah, I don't know that there's too much to discuss. I don't have a lot of notes on this. It's Whoopi Goldberg is probably one of her best roles. I don't think she's a very good actor. But she
No,
she
no.
nails it here.
Yeah, and I mean, always the interaction with like the crypt keeper at the end is always fun. So
Yeah.
glad she got to do that.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I don't have any. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to just go complete on Tobe Hooper, or if you want to just watch Tales from the Crypt because it's good and you just happen to watch it, that'd be the two ways to go about
I
it.
agree. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So I guess we're gonna finish up. So after was it after this? What year was this?
So you're
Body
so
Bags is afterwards, right?
93. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. After 2 years later.
Yeah. So 2 years later, Hooper and Carpenter decide to get together and do their own version
Mhm.
of a anthology series called Body Bags. And let's read this long one. A horror anthology containing three stories. A female college student working a graveyard shift is terrorized by a serial killer. A hair transplant goes horribly wrong. And a baseball player loses an eye and gets a new one from a recently executed murderer. So, for anyone who's curious how this is broken up, Hooper does the baseball story and the wraparound. Carpenter does the female college student at the gas station and the hair
Mhm.
transplant.
Yeah.
Um, and we talked about a little bit before we recorded, and I think we both kind of came to a similar conclusion that the Carpenter stuff is a little bit stronger.
Yeah. For me, it is.
Yeah. And also for anyone who hasn't seen this, Carpenter plays the crypt keeper type guy, so not a guy who acts a lot. It's kind of obvious. Not
Right.
the strongest actor in the world, but it's fun. It's fun that he's there.
Yeah. Right. Right. But this is another one, man, just loaded with people, right? Tom Arnold, Robert Carradine, Wes Craven
Yeah,
plays Sam
Craven shows
Raimi.
up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could just go. This list of cast is stacked.
Stacy Keach, who I love, and I don't think he gets enough credit, but he's the hair transplant one.
Amazing character
Yeah.
actor.
And Mark Hamill is in it at this point. So
Wait,
yeah.
really?
Mark Hamill, yeah, he's the baseball. He's Brent, the baseball guy. He's the one who gets the eye transplant.
Oh, wow. That's Mark Hamill?
That's Mark Hamill.
That's weird. I didn't really like catch that. That's crazy. Okay.
Well, this is after Hamill's pretty bad accident.
hmm,
And I know his face, like that's a big thing. I can't remember which Star Wars. I'm not a big Star Wars guy. I know he has a car accident and messes his face up pretty bad.
yeah.
And so they have to sort of explain that why his face
Yeah.
is messed
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it may have been around this time. I'm not sure. And Roger Corman's in it, who I always have to point out, but he's
He's
in
in the
it.
Hooper segment.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, like to me, this is kind of just a proto Masters of Horror.
Yeah.
Like this is
Yeah.
obviously what they want to do, and I think it's awesome. Like I love how obviously passionate like all these horror guys came in to say, "Hey, we'll try to make this work." It doesn't ultimately work, but there's good segments in this. I just don't think it got the viewership they wanted out of it.
I didn't really know that. I would assume this would have been wildly successful. This is great. Are you saying this was not really that beloved?
I don't think it got a lot. I don't know if it's necessarily not beloved, but I don't think it actually got like a lot of s- commercial success.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, I think it's great. It's really fun. These horror anthologies can be really entertaining if they're done right. To me, this is one of those that is.
Yeah, it didn't seem to get anything theatrical, so it's hard to really tell how many people viewed it or anything. I don't know if that information's out there, but apparently it aired on a night for who did this actually? I actually don't even know. Showtime. Showtime did it. Okay, so
Okay.
this was. I'm guessing Showtime wanted something to compete with Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, yeah, I guess I can see that, especially with the inner cut like segments and everything.
Yeah, yeah, because
Uh
so you have your wraparound because well, how long are they, would you say? Like 30 minutes
yeah,
each, if
pretty
that,
much.
20, 23 minutes. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's how long a Crypt episode is at the
Right,
time.
right,
They're
right.
about 25 minutes long. I guess we should really, I guess, just focus on the Hooper ones, which is the
Yeah.
shortest one, unfortunately. But yeah,
Uh
I will say that like the first one is Carpenter redoing a slasher film, which is really good. And if you want a long version of that movie, there's one called 12 Hour. Open 12 hours. I'll send it to you later because now I can't remember the name of it, but it's 12 open 24 hours. There we go. It's
oh,
a
okay.
gas station slasher movie that reminds me a lot of it. It's good. And then
Okay.
you got the hair transplant one, which is just stupid fun. It's really
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And then our third segment is the baseball story. So I'll let you take over from there about what you think of that one.
So body bags did make it into the top 1,000 of They Shoot Zombies.
Okay.
Um, and who knows if that's based on the strength of Carpenter segments or Hooper segments. But the basic premise is that this guy, he's a older baseball player. He gets into an accident, and his eye comes out in the accident. It's knocked out. But somebody tells him there's this experimental procedure where they can put a different eye in him, and it works. It's like the surgery is great. He can see out of it, but it's like a monkey's paw situation. You have to be careful what you ask for, right?
Hmm.
Because the eye carries the memories of the previous person, and so he starts seeing these visions in the eye of murder and rape, and well, I don't know for sure rape, but for sure murder, and like burying people in the yard and all these things. And there's implied necrophilia.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely there, like in some degree.
Yeah, but anyways, so not a good dude, and he has his eye in his head, and so the story is just about him, dealing with that, and it starts to kind of take over his body as these things do.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting one because one thing I do I don't know how many Treehouse of Horror episodes you've seen of The Simpsons, but I feel like they combined two of them for one
Okay.
of theirs. I don't know which one it is. I can't tell you which Treehouse of Horror it is, but there's one where Homer gets a hair transplant from Snake, the bandit dude, and he basically becomes Snake. And I don't know if it's ever been confirmed, but every time I watch this, I'm like, those two segments seem real close to what we're talking about here.
That's too
So
funny.
I do think there was some influence there for sure, which I think is very interesting. Um, as far as the directing goes on it, I think it's actually a little different from Hooper. Like I'm not gonna even sit there and say it doesn't feel like Hooper at all because there is some like weirdness in it that does, but it feels very restrained, but not in a bad way. Like I think it's almost in the same way with like Poltergeist, where he's like the way he films like a suburbanite,
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
it feels a little bit more milk toast, but purposefully.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I'm fascinated to know. I'm going to try to connect with Dr. Will Dodson and try to see if he can come on one of these. I'm fascinated to know what's going on in Hooper's life at this moment because this is one of those paint by numbers. For me, like Hooper's. I mean, I've gushed about him for 3 episodes now. My stance on him is quite established. But the TV movies, I feel like maybe put him in autopilot, or maybe he had stuff going on in his personal life, or maybe this is an area in his life when he was sober. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like something seems to be where he's just kind of on autopilot. And this to me feels like that too. Like it's fine, but it's not. There's nothing in it that's inherently Hooperish. Um, it,
Yeah, and that's kind of unfortunate because I do feel like, especially the first segment, does feel particularly like Carpenter.
oh
Like a lot of the
yeah,
ways it's shot and things like that. And of course, credit to, in fairness, a lot of this, from what I can tell, is a lot more of Carpenter's crew. Like he has his cinematographer there
hmm
doing it.
hmm
He's
hmm
doing the music.
hmm
Um, it feels much more like a Carpenter project than necessarily a Hooper project.
True.
And I don't know if that's purposeful. I don't know if the idea was Carpenter's and the idea was, well, this is going to be a show, so let me get like somebody else like Hooper or Craven here and we can work together. I'm not 100% sure. I do know Sandy King, which is his wife, is a producer. So I do feel like Carpenter's going to be more comfortable because it's more of his people
Yeah.
than is Hooper's people. Because Hooper doesn't really have anybody now. He's kind of out with Canon, so Canon doesn't exist, and he's been working on television.
Right. Where's his
So
tribe?
yeah, he doesn't have the crew. Like even though we kind of compared Carpenter earlier with The Thing, Carpenter still kept his people. Like he never got the budgets again, but at the end of the day, he worked with the people he wanted to work with.
Yeah.
And Hooper
What
doesn't have that access.
that's a really, really interesting way to sort of get near the end of this episode because I think we're gonna really test that theory next episode.
Yes. So next one, we're getting into one you've seen. I know we're getting into Night Terrors,
hmm
where he's returning to do another Stephen King story with the Mangler.
hmm
And I think we're going to get into a
Ton
crocodile
of
movie, if I remember correctly.
well, okay, so we can do crocodile, but there are one, two, three full TV movies before then, so we can decide what we do with that.
Yeah,
Like,
because we got Apartment Complex. I do remember that one being on
mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's next episode's going to be interesting. It's probably going to be the one people know the least about. I would assume.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to figure out how we break it up because like a lot of these are TV shows that he directs one episode. So that's kind of not as important maybe, but yeah, the Mangler and then Night Terrors and then he jumps into Crocodile so he has a 95 to 2000 he's working. I mean he's working all the time. He's making TV stuff. He's staying busy.
Yeah,
But then TV movie, then Toolbox Murders in 2004. I think that'll be the last episode. We'll probably start with one of these, but I think next episode is going to be really interesting. I'm curious to see how it goes, both from watching and talking about it.
yeah, because I think, at least in my experience, because I'm looking at this like now, I don't think I've seen anything but the Mangler from
hmm
this era that we're going to be talking about.
hmm
So, and I feel like the era after that I'm a lot more familiar with, and I'm very excited for that. I love Toolbox Murders, so I'm
Good,
super excited to get to that one.
good, good.
Um, but yeah, next one will be he's going to be, I think, kind of in a lull, but not necessarily anything's going to be bad, but I don't think it's going to be anything super popular.
Yeah,
So I'm very curious.
here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Here's where it gets interesting.
Well, thanks for making time for this. I know you're busy and so am I. So scheduling was tough, but I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm enjoying it, and hopefully it'll be a lot less time in between these. We'll call the break a Christmas break. So everyone, we weren't busy. We're taking a Christmas break.
Exactly. Exactly. Cool. Well, yeah, man, we did it. We got through what? No, we're 3/5 of the way through technically, right?
3/5 of the way. All right. Well, we'll get together here soon and make it 4/5.
See ya.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror. We'll cover all the subgenres, so join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.